So, I have a complicated relationship with STALZONE. You might have heard about it under its old name, STALCRAFT, the game rebranded recently. If you never heard about it, it's a free open-world MMO shooter inspired by the Stalker universe. It's a mix of PvE, PvP, extraction, looter-shooter mechanics. We'll go over all the details right after. I had a couple friends playing it a lot, and every time they would ask me to come play with them, I would look at the game, the reviews, and I was like, you know what guys, I don't know what you're doing over there, but I think I'm good. And then 2 years ago, during one of these times when you don't know what new things to play, I decided to give it a chance, finally. And the best way I can describe what happened is that neuron activation meme. I don't know what it was exactly, but something clicked in my brain, and I was hooked. The gameplay and progression were fun, it was ticking all my loot goblin boxes, all the different loot and builds you could do, the artifact hunting. I thought I would hate the PvP because it's a big part of the game, and I'm terrible at it, but it actually made everything intense, to be fair. Even the lore and story were pretty good. The game was far from perfect, there was a lot of frustrating elements, but what it was doing well, it was doing it extremely well. Honestly, saying I was hooked is putting it mildly. I put a ridiculous amount of hours into it in a couple months, until pretty much completing everything there is to complete and taking a long break. And that brings us to today's video, 2 years later. There's been a lot of updates since, a full rebranding, rework of the maps, ton of new items, weapons, artifacts. The devs asked if I wanted to come back to check everything that's new. I was a bit scared to get addicted again, but I said yes. I have absolutely stacked characters on the EU servers from my previous addiction years, but I moved to the US recently, so I figured it was the perfect opportunity to start again from scratch with absolutely nothing on a new server to see the overall state of the game and if you should play STALZONE in 2026. There are two factions to choose from when you start, Stalkers or Bandits. The very first time I played the game I picked Bandits, so I decided to go with them again today. There's a ton of promo codes available to give you some goodies when you get started. I used a random one I found on the wiki for my character, but you can use mine right here. It will give you a good starter pack and welcome bonus with extra supply so you can start exploring the zone with a little extra help. The new season is actually just starting, so there's a lot of special events. It's kind of the perfect time to give the game a chance if you're interested, especially if you're a new player. So let's go over my whole experience doing exactly that. Oh shit, here we go again. Oh, I forgot you really start with absolutely nothing. Okay. I'm not gonna use the promo code I found. I really want to have the experience with absolutely nothing. You should use one if you have one, but like, I want to feel the real grind. So I guess we're gonna get started on some missions, right? So everyone starts in the south of the zone, in the swamps. It's an open world, so we share all the various areas with the enemy faction. We picked bandits, so that's more or less our side of the map, and stalkers have their base over there, so there will be more in that area. Nothing is stopping you from going deep into enemy territory and messing with other players, and sometimes you won't have a choice because you have some missions to do there, but for the most part, the starter areas are pretty chill. Everybody is focused on farming, learning the game, doing their missions, and getting better gear, and that's exactly my plan. I'm terrible at PvP anyway, so I'd rather avoid any confrontations. If I had to summarize very fast how the game works, you kill mutants, they're gonna give you a specific type of resources, you kill other stalkers that are gonna give you another type of resources. I don't know if I can take that fight right now. These guys hurt! He almost got me. Am I gonna die on my first pack of stalkers? Okay, got him. So they're gonna give you a different type of resources, and then you can exchange them, barter for better gear, better weapons and everything. At least that's true for the first area. The more you progress, the more different resources and different type of activities you're gonna have to do to get everything you need. But we're gonna talk about all that later in the video. Early game, you're mainly going to follow the main questline. I recommend doing all the side missions because you will get a lot of free loot that's going to help you progress from them, get some experience, and they will send you a bit everywhere on the map, which is nice to get familiar with the world and discover some pretty cool places this way. The graphics and especially the lighting have been reworked recently and they look so much better than they used to. The game can be really beautiful at times. And I didn't even talk about the story yet. So you are one of the blessed, someone that started having nightmares about a blue sphere and the exclusion zone, and that's what brought you here, trying to find answers about these weird dreams you're having. Most people in this game focus on the endgame, the grind, getting the best loot, the PvP, and I do too, but I appreciate that at least the main story is pretty decent. It gives you a plot to follow with investigation, war between factions, weird characters, and helping crazy scientists with their experiments, while teaching you all the game mechanics at the same time. I'm not going to spoil it in the video for the few people that are actually interested in the story, but it's holding up. The game is heavily inspired by the Stalker universe, so you will recognize a ton of references in it, but it still manages to build its own lore and stories. Oh, our first emission is coming. That's a good thing that we are already at base, so we don't have to try to desperately find cover. It works a little bit like in Stalker, like the zone is gonna be very angry for a little bit, and more artifacts are gonna spawn in the anomalies, so we can go check them out when it's done. Okay, it's getting bad. We should we should get inside. Yeah, I've been finding a lot of artifacts after the emission. I don't remember finding that many artifacts in the deep south, but that's nice. I'm not gonna complain. Look at this. We are already making money. Nice. After doing all the missions in the swamps and farming quite a bit of enemy camps for resources and teaming up with random players I met on the way, which is definitely one of the cool parts of the game, I managed to fully cap my rep in the swamps, so we have the best deals and rewards with the traders. I can finally buy my first gun, not a mission reward this time, but one I can actually afford and choose. My first armor to have better protection, a new backpack to carry extra loot. Look at this, that was us 2 hours ago when we started, and this is us now. Progress. So far the experience has been pretty chill. It's time to move on to the next level. Roadside, roadside, roadside. This is one of the maps that has been completely reworked, so I don't know what to expect. This is kind of exciting. We're gonna see what it looks like now. And there's a lot more anomalies than the swamps, so we're gonna have to be careful. But it looks pretty cool. And it's much more foresty too, it's very dense. It's a completely different feeling. Who are you? Okay, the investigation starts, I guess. The main base for bandits in Roadside is the school, so that's going to be our home for the next couple hours. A bit like the swamps, you share this map with the enemy faction, but it's linked to another map to farm more peacefully. For bandits, it's the Kolos Agro Complex, for stalkers, it's Black Willows. Again, nothing stops you from going there to mess with other players if you want, but it's a long way to go. So overall, these maps are very quiet and you really can farm in peace with them, and then you have Scrapyard, which is a bit of a free-for-all. This stage is where the game really opens up. You have completely new areas to discover and explore, the loot is getting better, the enemies are getting stronger, so upgrading your gear becomes a real priority. You unlock new mechanics like caches to gather new resources, you start having access to the mission board, which is a ton of daily tasks to do for you to increase your rewards and be able to afford new gear faster. There's also the first outpost there, which are small events where you have to take control of a territory for a while and fight against enemy players for it. I've been holding this outpost with another random players, but there's two other guys. We're almost done, but there's two other guys that keep pushing us. Come on, we're... Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, they're under me, okay. I got him. Okay. Oh, and we got it. Okay, perfect. Good job. Whoa! Damn, am I getting good at PvP? By the way, when you die, you don't lose all your loot. The enemy can steal your junk, but all your important resources are locked inside a backpack you drop. If people are nice, they leave it on your body so you can loot it back, or just send it back to you through the mail system. That's what I do personally. If they're less nice, they can put it on the auction house for you to buy it back, which is fine if the price is not too crazy, and some dicks will just throw it away or sell it to the trader. I don't like being a dick. Most people I met so far on the US server have been super nice, which is a big difference from my experience on the EU servers, so be the change you want to see in the world, I guess. The main quest is getting more intense too, with exploring your first, I don't know, otherworldly areas, let's say, and your first boss fights. This mission used to be an absolute nightmare. I still have PTSD from it. There was like little wisps that would push you when you're trying to do parkour. There was like dozens of dogs chasing you everywhere. Like they made it like much easier, which is nice, because like there's a lot of missions I dreaded to have to redo, and so far they've been actually a good experience, which is nice. It's at this stage of the game that you really start to get the hang on the gameplay loop. You start to get good at farming, you start making money. If you like PvP, you can go mess with other players. If you want to farm in peace, you can just do that too. There's some really cool side missions that, if you take the time to read, are actually pretty interesting. You upgrade your gear. It's around this part that you will probably use your first artifact build. This is a huge rabbit hole and probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Finding artifacts, thinking about different builds you can do. You can also start exploring the whole tree of possibilities in terms of gear. What weapon you want depending on your playstyle, what armor, you start getting your first attachments, and time is flying. Just like that, you've done most of your missions, you fully capped your rep in this area, and it's time to move even deeper north. I am just placing some last scanners before we move to the bar, and of course there needs to be an emission while we're in the middle of scrapyard. Okay, there's a bunker right here. We probably can hide. I just hope nobody's gonna come. There's always like big fights if there's a lot of players around and we all need to get cover at the same time. Let's see, let's wait. Pum 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 pum. Yeah, I need to place these two scanners and then we can go. Oh! I thought I would be alone! There's someone coming. Yeah, you have a proximity radar that tells you like when someone gets into like a 60-meter range, but you don't know if it's friendly or enemy, so someone's coming to get cover here. Yep, that was enemy. Poor guy, I feel bad now. I will send him back his backpack. Yeah, that's a rough way to die. Getting to the bar, which is the next stage of the game, is a pretty pivotal moment. The bar will be the real test if the game is for you or not. It's a really interesting area with a ton of new missions. It unlocks again a lot of new mechanics and different ways of farming resources, the proto-clusters, the anomaly installations, the signals. There's a lot of new things to do. The whole map is designed a bit like the previous stage. You have the bar at the center that you share with the other faction. Then for bandits, you have the pit, Dead City, and Pass of Fools that are much more quieter areas to farm in, and for stalkers on the other side it's Forest, Graveyard and Poselkoi. The difference here is that the bar is the only place to extract, to bring back your loot back to base pretty much, and it's a big bottleneck, creating a natural PvP zone where players really like fighting and ambushing each other. Someone... Why is this little shit camping the transition? You know I'm invincible, right? Until I shoot for 10 seconds. And I almost fumbled that. That would have been bad if I died. I have so much stuff on me that's good that we got him. Up until now, you could avoid most of the PvP if you want it, but in bar it's different. I cannot describe the feeling of coming back from a big looting run, your backpack absolutely full of resources, and seeing on the map friendlies starting getting killed really close. Then you have a proximity radar that tells you when someone is close, but you don't know if it's ally or enemy. So as soon as it beeps, your heart starts beating because you don't know if you're gonna have to fight to bring back this loot or not. I have so much stuff on me. We did such a big looting run in Dead City. And of course there's people here. Oh, okay, that's allies. Are they? Yeah, they're hiding. They probably heard my beep too, so they were probably waiting to see if I was an ally or an enemy. Yeah, everybody's on edge. It's pretty intense around here. The bar is where you're either gonna fall in love with the game, the intensity and the stakes, you get killed, you get frustrated, you get better gear, you go get revenge and so on, or you just realize the game is not for you. I personally love it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it that much, and to be fair, the bar is pretty quiet on the US servers, and I kinda miss the intensity and craziness there is on the Europe servers. I thought I would enjoy just farming in peace, but I really missed the little camping shits trying to come and get you and the constant fighting. It's at the bar that I decided to pop the premium I got for free with the promo code we used before, because that's here that the amount of resources you need to upgrade and get new gear really ramps up, and this is going to make things faster. And by this point, if you enjoy the game already, that's where you get addicted. You farm, you do all your daily tasks, you progress the main quest line, you do all the side missions for extra goodies, there's also the free rewards of the battle pass, the events of the seasons, there's always something to do, something to work on. You're still discovering and learning a lot of the game mechanics, but you really start assimilating how to be efficient and become a real loot goblin. You sell stuff on the auction house, you start racking in money, you make your first million just like that, and you really start planning. Okay, I want to get this armor next with that backpack so I can use this artifact and this one in it. I also need a better shotgun, I'm gonna go with this one, then I upgrade my science suit to be able to go in these areas. Like, you get the spirit. When you upgrade your gear, you can feel the difference immediately. Everything gets easier and faster, so you start making bigger loot runs, and this snowball effect is really satisfying. There's one thing to be really careful about though, which is probably my biggest gripe with the game, and it's the matchmaking. Because you play against other players, being matched against opponents that have more or less the same level of gear as you is extremely important for a good game experience to keep things fair, and the matchmaking can be very hit or miss. First, the game never tells you explicitly that if you equip a high-level piece of gear, let's say something that you got in the battle pass, that's way more advanced than where you are actually in terms of game progression. If you equip it and leave the safe zone with it, you will get matched against people that have the same level of gear from now on, and there's no going back. So you're fucked, pretty much. And it's the same if you upgrade a piece of gear too much. I didn't talk about it yet, but you can use parts to upgrade the stat of weapons and armors, and this will increase your matchmaking tier too, if you push it too far. Personally, I don't upgrade anything until veteran gear. It's a waste anyway to use parts on low tier equipment. So when you reach the bar, you need to be very conscious of this and make sure that you can upgrade all your pieces of gear in one go before going up a tier. And even with being very careful, you will still meet players with much better gear than you from time to time. It's less often than I remember, but it's still an issue, and it can get very, very frustrating. This is honestly my only big issue with the game. I personally did everything in Stalker gear to be safe. I finished the first part of the main storyline, all the bar missions and the big boss fights, all with blue gear, and I only upgraded to veteran gear when I chose my faction and was ready to go north. Bandits can either join Mercenary or Covenant as a faction, and Stalkers will pick Rise or Frontier. It's all pretty much the same. Some factions are just more active on some servers, and it will determine which areas you will be mostly playing in, but there's not really a wrong choice here. I think I'm gonna join the Mercenaries. Like, on Europe, I joined Covenant first, but like, they were weirdos and I changed factions in the end, so I'm gonna go straight with Mercenaries this time. We made it north! It took me 43 hours, I need to double check, which is, I mean, it's okay. I did like literally every single side mission, so I was a bit slow, but I don't know if it was slow. Anyways, yeah, and I'm getting like way too much damage. I'm gonna have to equip all the veteran gear I saved because the mobs are much harder here. Some people will tell you that the game actually starts now, when you reach the north, and they're not wrong actually. Up until now, the progression was pretty fast, but now you will be aiming at master tier gear, and every piece of equipment will require a lot of investment to unlock. If you're like me and like grinding, it won't be an issue. I think having long-term goals and slowly achieving them makes things exciting, but if you expect getting everything quickly, you're gonna be disappointed. There's a lot of new activities to do in the North. Lots of new maps to explore, but for me, it's mainly when I can start doing my favorite activity, artifact hunting. Getting a detector to find artifacts used to be a giant and painful grind. It's much easier and accessible now, and I got a beluga very quickly. And this, my friends, is how you print money. I can't even go to the best areas yet, because I don't have a good scientific suit. I'm playing with the most basic detector, but it's enough to make so much money already every emission. After a couple hours, it's enough to buy the battle pass, it's enough to buy 30 days of premium, to buy a new weapon to farm more efficiently, and of course I'm keeping the best artifacts I find to do my own artifact build. I decided that for this character, I won't buy any artifacts from other players on the auction house. I will just farm my own builds and only play with what I found by myself. I think it's much more exciting this way. And we're doing pretty good so far. Another part I really like is farming stashes. It's such a good way to make money too, and start working on my hideout to be able to craft some good stuff. The hideout is a huge grind and time investment too, but I managed to slowly get all the basic parts to start crafting, and there are some very good recipes and cooking you can do. You can see I'm a big PvE player, so that's the activities I enjoy doing the most. But the North has a lot of PvP too, for those who like fighting. One of the big events where you're going to fight a lot are the outposts, when enemy factions will try to control territories for a while to get special rewards. I play outposts like an absolute rat, but whatever works, I guess. And honestly, talking about the North would require its own video. There's a ton of activities to do, new maps to explore. Some will be a big challenge, like Lübeck or the Labyrinths, and play a bit more like an extraction shooter. Very good loot, but everyone is after you, and there's only a couple extract points to escape with everything. Or you have the opposite and just farming in peace around your faction base, and go fight only when you absolutely have to. You can guess what's my favorite way of playing. And there's the whole Wild North too, which is even more dangerous. I'm just getting started and saving for my master gear, so it's gonna take me a while to get there. And I didn't even talk about the combat sessions or the operations game mode. There's a ton to do. If you like grinding, you will absolutely love it. That's all I can say. So should you play STALZONE in 2026? For me, I think, yeah. I mean, I got all the footage I needed for this video 50 hours ago, and I'm still playing and doing my dailies, so I think I'm addicted again. Fuck. The atmosphere and art direction are getting better, the gunplay feels great, and the gameplay loop of farm, upgrade, farm some more is still super satisfying. A lot of missions that used to make me want to throw my computer out of the window are way less frustrating now. There's still some nonsense here and there, but the frustrating aspects have been really toned down, and I feel the game is much more accessible. And once you get into artifact hunting, start building your own loadouts, unlock gear, you grind it for days, start upgrading it, test out different attachments, that's a rabbit hole that goes pretty deep and is still super satisfying. The matchmaking is still hit or miss, it's annoying, and I don't get why it hasn't been fixed completely by now. It's better, but it's still an issue. And be ready for the endgame grind, which is brutal, which is fine. I just wish there was a bit more mission variety. The game also really shines with friends. Doing it solo, especially endgame, is rough. You will survive, but it's not always fun. Believe me, I talk from experience. Yeah, I'm waiting at the jump. Just let me know when you climb the ladder. Okay. Good job. Yeah, we got him. Good job, good job. And I wish we just had more PvE in general, but that's coming from someone who sucks at PvP and loves PvE, so I'm biased. But yeah, I still love it. I'm addicted again. The game is definitely in a better place than last time I was playing it. It's not perfect still, there's still some issues, but if you're a loot goblin like me, you're probably gonna love it. Don't forget to use this promo code to get a nice welcome bonus if you want to give it a try. And if you're playing on the US servers, I'll probably see you in the zone.